Since he joined LIV, Cam Smith recently appeared at an Australian Open event in one of his first non-LIV Tour events. His treatment was quite different from other LIV players who appeared at certain DP World Tour events, and Ian Poulter had a few things to say about the organizers. We'll be looking at that and a lot more in this video, so without further ado, let's dive in. First up, what did Ian Poulter say about Cam Smith's appearance at an Australian Open? Cam Smith was at the front and center of promotions for the Australian Open. This isn't shocking when you consider that Australia is Cameron's home country, and he was the biggest star to appear at the event. However, some were still shocked simply because he was a LIV player. He committed the ultimate sin in the eyes of golf traditionalists, and despite all that, he was allowed to be heavily promoted by the Australian Open. Fellow LIV player Ian Poulter was happy that Cam was so heavily promoted, replying on Twitter to a picture of two kids standing outside the venue. The kids were massive Cam Smith fans, and they drove for over 3 hours just to see their hero. Poulter said that it was great these kids could see their hero perform in front of a worldwide audience without being shamed, dumped aside, or disgraced by the media. He also added that none of these kids care about what tour their favorite player plays on. All they want to do is watch their hero play. Poulter is right to an extent. Regardless of what's happening behind the scenes or how you feel about LIV snatching many players away from the PGA Tour, these kids aren't focusing on that. They just want to see a game of golf, and the behind the scenes politics are completely irrelevant to them. Cam's star power is an advantage to LIV, which is why, despite the lawsuits, they're still committed to getting as many top players as possible. Up next, what did Ian Poulter say about the treatment of LIV players at other events? Cam Smith isn't the only LIV player to have appeared at a non-LIV event. Many players have, since PGA in America has only banned them. As far as European and non-American players are concerned, they can still appear at events on the DP World Tour and the other tours. Ian Poulter is one of those players. In June, it was reported that Ian Poulter became one of the newest names to join the new Saudi-backed league. He got paid in the range of $20 million to $30 million just to sign a contract with LIV, and he was expected to get paid a lot more by sponsors and appearance fees. Overall, the Englishman's decision positively affected his bank account, leaving his reputation in tatters. He received a lot of blowback from the DP World Tour. During the BMW PGA Championship in September, Poulter was not featured in most of the matches he partook in, despite being on home soil. Other LIV players like Sergio Garcia were so angry about their treatment that they decided to storm off the course. The DP World Tour tried to pretend like these LIV golfers didn't exist, even though they were playing at their events. Poulter was then banned from 3 events that PGA was co-hosting with the DP World Tour, but after taking legal action, he was allowed to play in the Open Championship. There is also a chance that Poulter and other LIV players may be outright banned from the European Tour. That decision will be made in 2023. Coming up, how did fans react to Ian Poulter's tweet? Even though most of the fan reaction surrounding players who chose to join LIV has been negative, some sympathize with Ian Poulter and his tweet, but most of these were already Ian Poulter fans. Other golf fans weren't so sympathetic to Ian. One fan pointed out that if Cam hadn't played at the PGA Tour in the first place, he wouldn't even have these fans. Another fan targeted Ian directly with his criticism. He said that the English golfer must stop crying about everything and acting like a victim. He took Saudi money and chose to play meaningless golf alone. He can't blame the fans for being angry at him or any other player that took Saudi money. Ian Poulter also received a lot of criticism for molding an innocent tweet about Cam Smith fans and molding it to fit his own agenda. On the one hand, he's trying to act like a victim, but on the other hand, you can see that LIV players aren't exactly the victims that Ian Poulter is making them out to be. So, for the most most part, Ian Poulter's cry for help didn't end up winning him a lot of fans. His allegations of being victimized were mostly brushed aside by people as a disgruntled former employee trying to make everything about himself. Despite the bad treatment, Ian Poulter doesn't think he made the wrong decision by joining the Saudi-backed league. He has had nothing but nice things to say about it, and like many of his colleagues, he seems to think the new league has a good chance of becoming even more successful than the PGA Tour. Next, Ian Poulter asks Elon Musk for help. Knowing that most golf fans are against him still by a wide margin, Ian Poulter has asked Elon Musk for help regarding the troll infestation. The LIV golfer asked the richest man in the world to do something about all the bot accounts and the trolls that constantly bombard him with hate under every tweet he sends out. Poulter seems to be of the opinion that all of the people criticizing him couldn't be real, so he thinks they're bots instead. Of course, many fans continue to make fun of him following his plea. This isn't the first time Ian Poulter has fed the trolls. Every time a tweet against him gains traction, Poulter is always ready with a fast response, either justifying himself or hitting back at the troll. While it's fine to defend yourself online, if there's one unwritten rule that we all know about the internet, you never feed trolls. It seems like Poulter still hasn't learned about that part of the internet, but let's see if Elon Musk ever responds to him or helps him out in any way. Up next, Tiger Woods says Greg Norman needs to go. Even though Ian Poulter has said numerous times that he thinks LIV and PGA can coexist at some point in the future, his former colleague Tiger Woods thinks differently. The most legendary player in the history of the sport was recently asked how he thinks PGA and LIV could coexist in the future. Woods responded by saying, "For that to ever happen, Greg Norman would have to go." Greg Norman is the CEO of LIV Golf, and the respect he had in the PGA Tour for the past few decades and all of the links he made along the way allowed him to easily scoop over some of the top players in the tour. Many players who stuck with the PGA despite numerous offers directly blamed Greg Norman for these players' departures. Tiger Woods thought the same. He was offered upwards of $1 billion by Norman, so he knows better than anyone that there's no limit to Norman's quest to make sure LIV is the only player. Additionally, Woods said that after Norman leaves, LIV would have to withdraw all of their lawsuit action against PGA and listen to some of PGA's grievances. Only after that would the PGA Tour even be willing to talk and negotiate with LIV. Something like that would never happen. Even if LIV gets rid of the lawsuit, there's no way that the Saudi-backed league will rid of a guy like Greg Norman. He has been instrumental in almost all of the league's success so far. And finally, Jon Rahm says PGA players should be thankful to LIV. Even though most PGA players have been lamenting the damage LIV has done to the world of golf, former OWGR #1 player Jon Rahm said that PGA players should be thankful to LIV. Rahm still plays for the PGA, but he was slightly defensive about the new league. He said there doesn't need to be a lawsuit or animosity between the two leagues. Even if they don't work together, they should still allow the other to exist. He also thinks that many of the recent pay raises and increases in prize purses can be attributed to the appearance of LIV. So some PGA players should rather be thankful to LIV for allowing that to happen. Former PGA players like Ian Poulter and Greg Norman have said things like this in the past, but from the way things seem right now, coexistence might not be possible. That's a wrap for today's video. Do you think Ian Poulter is right about the unfair treatment of LIV players? Let us know in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.